And he couldn't check him by bringing his attention to his wrong, so he hauled off and smacked him upside his head. Pow! And that kind of liberty that Moses took got him put out of Egypt. Say, hey, you got to get out of here with this stuff you got here, boy. You don't belong with us. Get out of here. They exiled him. They put him out in the desert, right? He got out there in the desert and met a wise man. Wise man turned him on to the way of God. Then he got inspired. He said, hey, I think I see fire. So I think I'll go there to the fire. Maybe I'll bring back something that will serve as a light or something as heat for you. And after he had that experience, he went back to Pharaoh. Said, hey, I thought we put you out of here. Didn't we exile you some time ago? What are you doing here? Said, God says, let my people go. Say, hey, what you joking or something, Moses? We know you. Don't you know you our boy? Say, who is this God you talking about? Said, the only God I know is myself. That's what Pharaoh told him. Said, who is this God you talking about, Moses? The only God I know is myself. Said, but do you give life and give death? Pharaoh said, yeah, I give life and give death. If you don't straighten up, I'm getting ready to kill you right now. Now, who's this God you talking about? Say, the one who created everything and thereafter gave it its guidance. And Pharaoh, that shook him, you know. Say, hey, what's this? Hey, this boy looked like he done met something else. He ain't the same fella that left here. Say, hey, I'm going to tell you again. God said, let my people go. Say, are you threatening me, Moses? Yeah. Say, God said he's going to take your firstborn if you don't let my people go. Then he presented him with one threat after another, right? And the God he served backed Moses up. He sent him and he backed him up. Pretty soon Pharaoh, he lost his cool. And he organized his men to battle with Moses and his followers. And as a consequence, he was drowned in the sea. Right? That's that great history that we just mentioned in brief here. Great history. Great history. Now, dear beloved people, we in these United States, the true yearning for freedom in us is a yearning for religious freedom. And instead of getting that religious freedom, we were fascinated so much, enchanted so much, enamored so much with the hope of being accepted by our rejectors. You know, pimps and other playboys and pretty boys that make a business out of romancing women. They know that the way to get a woman hooked is to reject her for no reason that she can find. And she will be tied up forever trying to find out how come I'm not wanted. He'll have her forever. She ain't gonna rest until she win him. Because she's rejected but don't know why. See, I'm fine, I know I'm fine. I know I whipped it on him right. How come he won't come around? And he's pushing her off. Hey, no, God, leave me alone. So the experience we had with the white man had the power to produce the same kind of thing in us. White man rejected us, and we don't know why you treat us like this. Why are we so offensive to him? Why is our flesh so offensive to him? We're human like he is. How come he becomes so upset just by our presence? Why he doesn't even want us drinking out of the same water fountain with him? Bird come up there and drink out of the fountain. He go there and drink behind the bird. I drink out of the fountain. They lynch one of us and take the fountain up and throw it away. So he put a big question in your mind. Why in the hell do I provoke you to go to these extremes? You got false notions about me, man. Let me hug you. Feel me. I'm just like somebody else. I'm just like anybody else. Come on, kiss me. Come on, please, kiss me. I'm just like anybody else. Tongue me. I'm just like anybody else. Let's have sex. You'll see. I'm just like anybody else. Hey, let's have a baby. You'll see. We can have a baby. I'm just like anybody else. Don't run. Let me sit by you in the park. I'm just like anybody else. Hey, where you going? Don't leave. I'm just like anybody else. Hey, you don't know what these things can do to your soul and to your nature and your spirit. So we want to prove ourselves to him, huh? We want to prove ourselves. And then what happens now? We have a yearning to be religiously free. We want to find religious freedom. Then he opened the church to us, and we walk into the doors, and there is the image of him saying, "Come unto me." That's some powerful psychology that this civilization used on non-whites. Push them away, say they black, they colored, they're inferior. But now come into my church, I have an image of me there that wants you. Come unto me. So all you wanted to do to white women and white men, you go in there and do it to Jesus. Oh, Jesus! Woo! That's Jesus! Woo! Woo! Oh, Jesus! Jesus! You see the psychology? You see the psychology? That's it. See, you can take an animal and make an image, an effigy of a person. And you can take that image and torture and tantalize, etc., that animal with that image. And then take that animal to the person they never saw, never smelled anything. And that animal will go right at that person. So the person you want to accept you is the white man. The image of him is the so-called God, Jesus. God forbid. So your yearning, your desperate need to be accepted by the white man is kind of vicariously satisfied through your experience with the Jesus on the cross. Nothing but an emblem, a symbol of the white man's race. So how come you can't find your freedom? How come you can't be free? How come you ain't comfortable with what you are, with who you are? How come you haven't found yourself? It is because you haven't carried your freedom urge to its proper conclusion. You need to go back and pick up your freedom struggle. Your freedom struggle was not to have money and cat-like cars and Mercedes-Benz and fine clothes and show off with the white man in the business suit, or to have power in the army, etc., etc. That wasn't your yearning. Your yearning was to find a comfortable place for your soul. Your yearning was to free your soul. Your yearning was for religious freedom. You wanted to know your God, what he approves, what he disapproves. You wanted to hear from your God if what the white man was doing was right or wrong. You wanted to hear it from God. You wanted to find God so you can judge what the white man has established. But instead of finding God, you found nothing but a comfortable place with a cold image, nothing but a marble image of the white man. Or plastic or wooden, I don't know what they're making the images in now. And there you rested your religious struggle. End it with Jesus. Oh, I got Jesus now. I don't need anything else. I understand why. But you still need something. You just can't see the depths of your life. You're in the shallow. In the shallow, you think you don't need anything. But the depths are still troubled, not rested, and won't be rested until you find religious freedom. And the only religious freedom for non-white people in this particular society is to come into a religion that is not imaged in the white man. That's the only way. We ain't gonna never be free. Church used to be so sincere. You'll always have sincere people in religion. But the leadership of the black church or the African American church or the black church now is corrupt. It's corrupt. In fact, it's nothing but a mockery. So we have been yearning for religious freedom. This is the course God intended for us, to bring us back to establishment, community life and community establishment, after being taken from establishment when we were brought here as slaves, or taken from the opportunity to establish ourselves when we were brought here as slaves. Many of us were brought from dignified life. We know of certain slaves that were brought and sold on slave blocks, auction blocks. It's documented by history that certain ones of them came from educated backgrounds and good situations, good, fortunate situations. And they were sold just like all the other slaves on the auction block. Religious freedom is our yearning. You who are still with us here, you are here because you believe that this place is the best opportunity for that religious freedom. But that religious freedom for you will not be a reality if you leave responsibility for your religious community life to people that you don't even know. Most of you still trust me, and you depend solely upon me to keep the order of your community or your religious life. I can't do that. That's too much for any human being. The prophet himself, peace be upon him, he was told by God to tell the people, I am not to be a protector of your life, a regulator of your affairs, a guardian for your interests. No. The prophet was not sent to do that. He's told by God in the Quran to tell them that I am have no responsibility but to make the message clear. That's what the prophet was told. If he would have accepted that responsibility, he would have deviated from the course of his own prophethood. Because he came to lead the people into shared community life, shared responsibility.
Salam alaikum. Yes, shared responsibility. Yes, we are here again. Everybody, somebody, anybody, nobody. Yes. I want to expand on a number of things and give some symbolic gestures to a number of things. Sometimes a person may say to another person that they are sleeping, but the person that is speaking and the person that one is speaking to is wide awake. But we are sleeping, metaphorically sleeping, because we're in tune with other than ourselves. And when we're in tune to other than ourselves, we go against the grain of our souls. And the first intention is from Allah, God Almighty. The second one is kind of weary, but it's a wasuin from other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why I say kind of a wasuin is because our nafs, our egos, gets in there and plays the role of doubt. And once that happens, I start to be triggered. Shaitan now speaks and make that which is from the ego fear seeming. I can come again and again on that because it's real. It's real. That's what happens to people. And more often than not, the African in the diaspora, that we can talk about ourselves from sociology and psychology is being projected to us. Because we have limited understanding of these things, but we have a great deal of understanding and experience about our surroundings. But oftentimes, how we come to reflect and interpretate that does be far off base. What we were speaking of just now is an attitude, a mannerism of whom was called Pharaoh. In the continent of Africa, Al-Kubalan Kemet, otherwise known to the world as Egypt. It's an attitude. Yes, it's been conducted and carried out, fulfilled by a human being. That human being's title was a pharaoh. And Allah took time out and astaghfirullah. How I'm saying this should not be taken literally as a human being. I'm speaking about a human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has expounded that to us very clearly. The attitude, the mannerisms, the trial, and the challenges of Pharaoh. Moses, alayhi salam, was taught and encouraged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have consultation with Pharaoh. And Pharaoh understood very clearly what was being said to him. There's no problem with communication. Furthermore, Pharaoh recognized Moses because that particular Pharaoh was Moses' stepbrother. So he appreciated Moses, but he wanted Moses to understand that it's a different day and time to the one that he previously knew. Now, what's this? Why is this so? Why am I playing this? Why did I play this? And why am I trying to expand over this? This is precisely what is happening, has been happening in Gaza. There's an attitude from the top 5 in the United Nations and the world. Now, out of the 5, there's one that carries more weight than the other 4, but yet they're part of the same club. And the reason why that one carries more weight or has more say, or if that one decides to disagree with the other 4, whatever that one wants happens. Because they're meant to be, or is said to be, the most powerfulest nation or peoples on this earth. You know, because them have so much weapons of mass destruction. And not that really, you know. What we need to really understand about this nonsense talk about the U.S. is because, like Pharaoh, they did not care. Pharaoh didn't care. He knows that he was being spoken to from God through Moses, so he didn't care. He says a different day and time. And he should be seen as God. The Americans doesn't care and showed the world that they didn't care because they dropped 2 of these devastating nuclear bombs or atom bombs, whatever bombs they were that was so, it just, up to today, the repercussions of those outlay from those bombs that they dropped is still being felt by surrounding countries, and the pollution is still there with us, of the waters and the soil. And the world knows what they did. So the world, the rest of the countries on the earth, them say, wow, they're afraid. They say, hey, you know what? Better stay on the right side of these people, you know. They don't blink twice. They will just drop that thing punnery. And that's the fear. That's the fear. That's what the US has done to the world. So the world, as in all the billions of people, doesn't fear nothing else but America. including the Muslims, myself too. And that shouldn't be the case. Because we swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who are the people of the book, them swear by God that it's only God they're working with. But now let's look at the company that America keeps. The company that America keeps insists and like the idea of people fearing them. So those top 5 countries are what America call their allies.
Shared authority.
They're allies. They're great allies. And they will not remove themselves from that. So here in Palestine now, where the people is undergoing such devastating genocide acts, they're calling it, one can understand what role these people are playing. That's why I've played it. And now they're using their tongue, language, the English grammar to say things that makes the people who are not with them, the population of the earth, feel that they're being sympathetic. And it's not working. And it will not work. The earth, the world population, have seen you all. There's no coming back from this. There's none. Wallahi, there's none. Wallahi, wallahi, there's no coming back. Do you know, Pharaoh was given opportunities after opportunity, and not just Pharaoh. Pharaoh was exercising on the behalf of his population. And he put all of those people in jeopardy. He didn't care. It was power that he wanted to be acknowledged for, that he was powerful. He wanted that accolade. He wanted that accomplishment, that achievement. He wanted that. He felt he had it. But listening to this Moses representing this God, and he could not repute anything. But one thing, when you read all the stories, the whole thing, he never once said, Moses, how is these things happening? Because he knew. But because he was new on the throne, his father have died, so he became the successor. And maybe if Allah had chose for Moses not to have fled, and Moses was still there, Ramses' father could have well done picked Moses. But that's hypothetical. That wasn't real. It didn't happen. So don't say that I'm saying it happened, because it did not. I'm painting a picture why Ramses behaved the way he behaved. Because obviously he's new. So he didn't want to continue his father's tradition or the tradition of theirs. He wanted to add something because he wasn't creative. Growing up, he wasn't. You got to know these things. Because sometimes the people who are given, you see that word? Who are given, they didn't earn it. positions, it is their ego that causes us, or the innocent people, the problems. Ramses wanted to assert himself. He wanted to outflank his father. And maybe when he looked at the tradition of others before his father, outflank all of them. Anyway, after experiencing so much and being told to be mindful of his actions, and then experiencing what comes with not being mindful of his actions, he wouldn't change. He wouldn't change. Now, look at America. An elderly man that should reflect wisdom and understanding for himself, for his immediate family, and then for the position to which he was elected. So you can see that a person of that multitude in that position in relation to the age of the person hasn't no other reason as a human being but to look in the self and respond humanely because of the experience as a human being, living, acting and reacting, that they've encountered, experienced in life. That person has refused because of the partnership that they have with someone else, and the fact that they want to prove to this someone else that they are a sincere partner, no matter what. And even though, just like Pharaoh, knowing the consequences of their action or inaction, refuses. Because if you all read without conjecture, without mythologies, you will see what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is outlined to us human beings on this earth. That whole entanglement, that whole escapade, that whole history with Moses and Pharaoh. And Pharaoh is an attitude. It's an ego. Nothing else. Nothing more. Stiff-necked, yes. Hard-headed, yes. But it's an attitude. What happened to him? He finally come to one of his senses by saying to Moses, you all can go. Thinking that once this happens, he wouldn't have to have these experiences. He wouldn't have to be encountering what he cannot manage and still do not, he fears to recognize that there's nowhere on earth that he is a God, that he can bring about anything else or anything. The arrogance of the man. And there were people around him that disapproved of his action, including his wife and his child, who paid the penalty of Pharaoh's action by his tongue. And his child died. And his wife made him to know that this happened because of your arrogance. So it's not a situation where we should be saying that the Egyptians did not know God. This is how we've been taught. It's a lie. The Egyptians knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They knew God. But they changed. Not all of them, but the leading bodies have changed. Ramses was the most atrocious one. That's why his life story with the encountering of Moses is being told to us. Can't you understand? It's not a fairy tale. We're experiencing, seeing the likeness of that attitude. And for me, for myself personally, I'm not afraid. I know that this world have changed, are changing, and it will not go back to whatever the top 5 in the United Nations in that place would require. It's not going to happen. It's a new time. It's not all this hierarchy and all this nonsense. It's none of that. Truth is hurling itself here. And falsehood is going to get knocked out. Because what falsehood have done so far is expose itself. It's exposed itself. So it's trial in time. Either we know God, Allah, God, or we're praising and worshiping man. That's it. It's either we know God, or want to know God, or we're worshiping man. And what's on the street is showing that they want truth. Now, the only way you can ascertain truth is through God. There's no man truth. Man should try and live with justice. But there's no man truth. Know ye the truth, and the truth will set you free. Try to understand that. There's no man that's going to set any man free. Know ye the truth, and the truth will set you free. Know ye God, O you man, and you will be free. Simple. Human beings, mankind will be free. But we've been clouded of experiencing and understanding freedom, the Africans in the diaspora. And the world has been struggling from time to understand and live in truth. So what they did was polish that up and say love. But no one can explain what that is. I mean, when they really want to be human, them start talking about love affairs and sex. But they can't, I've not heard, and they don't try, I don't know if they try, to expound really carefully, concisely, what that is. But truth is Allah, God Almighty. Because there's nothing than truth. Truth is ultimate. No matter how we twist it in our own minds, whatever definition we give to it, it is so important that the statue of law across the earth in the places that we call court asks us, do we swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, to help me God? They don't say nothing else. So, do we realize the importance of what we do know, but fail to respond in kind? Serious thing. So, that which we played just now is all about understanding the likelihood of an attitude that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to understand. And He carefully gave it unto us. But sometimes, even though we can read or we can see things, we wait for other people to give their take. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just depends on how many centuries they take. But our Imam, he didn't waste time. He found his mission or his purpose was to develop the moral faculties of the human being. Those who cared to listen and then practice and then read and then learn how to conquer the prayer. Not challenge. Not challenge. So we can talk about the experience of spirituality for years, because that's one of the things, one of the areas that He took us, and not of His own perception. It's in the Quran. How we seek the mercy and the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't do that just by appearances. There's some people that create images. Not through their faults, but there's some that do that because they know that they attract other people. We know a lot of things about ourselves as human beings. And some of us use the attributes that God, Allah, has given to us and exploit people with that. We've had a long journey and experiences to get this far, where there are people who are exploiting our sensibilities. But there were people who were damaging the light of the Prophet and the light of Al-Quran at the same time. And our Imam highlighted many of those groups and used these words. They're having their joyful moments of deception. And in time, Allah would expose their wicked and adulterous ways. And in time, others would weep. And in time, others will be no more, as we all will be. Haste not, learn patience, and seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes. Be patient. And for him, a lot of people were saying, we're not moving anywhere. But the Imam, he had some serious psychology. Because it wasn't about putting on new clothes. It wasn't about changing our attire. It's about being real. Learning how to live. And learning how to take care of ourselves. And then learning how to appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger. So we too can appreciate one another. It's not a lecture and a lecture and a lecture that gets anyone there. It's about practicing, consistency. But some people just love backbiting, you know. Them love eating dead meat, human meat, you know. And there's another set of people that like competition against other people. And there's another set of people that want the riches of this earth that is called the dunya. And that's what he taught us about, how to visualize these things and how to ignore these things. A lot of people went back to school, went back to learning. Yeah, a lot of people went back to learning. A lot of people shaped themselves up and went to work, brushed themselves off, went to work. A lot of people became reliable, resourceful. A lot of people went back to their families, reunited themselves with their families. A lot of people turned their back on prisons, penitentiaries. A lot of people 100% divorce, vile behavior, theft, narcotics. A lot of people. Because their experience in their souls, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And through the guidance of our Imam, because he was working on our emotions, our sensibility and sensitivity, and of our tolerance. But who knows this? Who knows this? All these other people, wherever they are in the diaspora, seems to think that Islam and the Quran is like Christianity. You know? Grab this book, put on a jelly beer, rare, and salams everybody, and all's gonna be well. Highly mistaken. But patience was the key. And constant reminders happened to be the Imam's gift. Yeah, we always say that. If there's 20,000, 2 million plus, we all say that. Very tolerant, very patient. What else can you do? Never hype people. Hyping people is to keep people's attention with you. People spotlights on you. It shouldn't be that way. It should be on what you're saying that is from God and is to help myself, his self, and ourselves. It's not about spotlighting. It's not about being this artist. It's not about this performance. Wow. So I'm different. And I'm saying that because before you all get bored and say, when I'm not challenging the Hebrew, and no, 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 no. Every man for himself and God for a soul. You understand? So you won't get that wither over here. But I will speak one day of the answers, because that's important in the transition of what has actually happened to thousands, if not millions, of African Americans and African Caribbeans, because it had an impact on us. And then there was a lot of deviation. And the changes that were brought about then is now here with us today, strangely enough. And not by that person, but really by the person, because the amount of videos that were made and recordings, now they're the number one feature on all media platforms. But not just that, they're major players in the communities across the United States, the Caribbean, and now coming here in England. And it's all because of the personality of the individual, not what the individual was teaching. It's the personality. Now, I can say when it was Ansar Allah, it was the teaching and the guidance of the Quran, of Islam. But you know what happens with people? We're not contented. If we can't have people kissing our hands and giving themselves over to us, we don't feel like we're anybody. I think that's what happens. I think that's what happens. And it's a shame. It's a shame. There were some very good teachers, very good people who lent themselves, their resources to the answer. But the answer was above reproach. Now, the first one that was major, no one speaks about them. But they weren't infiltrating al-Islam. They were infiltrated by other people that had their own sect. It's a difference. It's a difference. But what actually happened is the Ansar move and the switch gave life, gave birth to so many other offshoots. And that's still in America and the Caribbean today. But through the grace and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not fashionable. Not if there's one thing that can put a great dark cloud on Muslims, it's those actions, it's those organizations, because they're criminals. They're criminals. They just use the word Muslim and Allah, Allah this, Allah that, and so forth. My cousin gave me a word this week. the University of Life. Life University. Serious. Now I'm going to put pen to paper and I'm going to do like my imam, just likewise, and give that life. And give it life. Because it's factual. It's so factual. It's just the word university is used. But have we all not experienced emotions? We've all experienced. And we've all trod lands and streets, and we've all experienced all forms of innuendos. And we're all supposed to be following the footsteps of our ancestors, i.e. first with our grandparents and then our parents. It's an experience. So we've gone through primary school, secondary school, and then university. And if we don't be careful, we won't pass anything at university, but we just finish up in our graves. And then leave the next generation, right, our offsprings, to follow likewise, which would be non-progressive. So I need to stop there because it is so valuable. You know, I have to keep some of that back. You know what I mean? So I want to go somewhere with the Quran, and I want everyone to listen good, you know, listen good, because it's all about not our perception, but about our listening skills.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم.
Right there. By the fig and the olive. By the fig, fig, that fruit, and the olive. The fig is a vine, the olive grows on a tree. And the Mount of Sinai, and the city of security. We have indeed created man in the best of molds. Now, there's no way that somebody's heard this, either they're Muslim or they've read the Quran anywhere else. Because this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words. By the fig and the olive and the Mount of Sinai, which now we know was we will go there in days to come, because Ramadan is here, and we will show that clearly. Okay. And the city of security. And we have indeed created man, human, in the best of molds. Huh? This is very serious. Let's go back. Let's go back a notch to come forward.
لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون.
And we have indeed created man in the best of molds. Then do we abase him to be the lowest of low, except such as believe and do righteous deeds, and they shall have a reward unfailing. This is the creator of the universe and of all mankind that is relaying an understanding about us, human beings, and nature itself. Because we have the mount, the creation of man in the best of molds. We have the fig, and we have the olive. In the fig, there are numerous amount of seeds. in the fig. And the fig itself, its skin is tough. And it has an appearance that's quite unusual to any other of its fruits kind. The fig. When it ripes, it's been transformed again, the fig. But the olive produces, the olive only have one seed and flesh. Not thick flesh, but the seed is covered by this flesh. The flesh gives oil. The olive. We will go to the olive throughout Ramadan too. We would deal with the symbolism of the olive, the fig, and also the pomegranate. So people can understand the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the nations and tribes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is allowed us to be on this earth, if we but knew. Sally, behave yourself. Let's go back a notch here, two verses, because it's coming. The surah is coming to an end.
فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين.
Very important. Then do we abase him to be the lowest of the low, except such as believe and do righteous deeds, for they shall have a reward unfailing. Then what can after this contradict thee? Subhanallah. As to the journey to come, it is not Allah, the wisest of judges. Question with a great answer. Now, we are saying that when peoples that were once reading the Bible come across simplicity with no mysticism like this, and that's all they knew before, lacking of educational prowess, somehow rejects this. This is just one surah. And the Quran is clear like that. It expresses our desires as human beings, but it also makes it clear that we were formed, molded and formed by Allah. Allah is telling, and how resentful we have been and how resentful we can be. How resentful that nation or those people were, and the same would apply to us. But this is the way to cure yourself so that you don't fall into that same lifestyle. Oh, you mankind. And Allah is asking us not to be the lowest of low. And this is a reflection, but a correction and a guidance to life. To life in its pure form. It is not saying something about no two-headed, three-headed beast and some woman who's going to come out. Listen here. It is not nailed on all of these mysticism and these toxicities And that's what's happened to me. That's what's happened to our people. This is what we've heard. This is what we've read. This is what we try to configure from that Biblos book. So when they get something with such simplicity as this book called the Quran, it is not so easily digested. And that bothers me personally. I just don't understand why the complication. I just don't understand. And that's why I mentioned education. I just don't understand. But that goes to show me and should show us what damage our slave masters did on our parents, that stuff has stuck with us. And look how far in the chain of life we are from that time till now. They're dividing and ruling tactics. They're teaching tactics. They're transforming tactics. Their sociology and ideology tactics is superior to anybody. That's what it is to me. That's what they've accomplished. Yeah, that's what they've accomplished. And we have to give jackets. I mean, they earned that. Because there's so much of us that rejects Allah. But now they want to say that they're part of the Abrahamic movement. They're not. I don't know no Jesus. I know Isa. I know a name called Christ, the Messiah. I know one called Yeshua. But Jesus? No. And his attributes cannot be found to be desired in the Bible. I want to switch. And I got to be careful because I got some warnings the other day, and I don't know really if those warnings came from my African brothers or producers. And I just started the channel. How do I get warnings so quick? And it's nothing to do with music. It's to do so I don't want 3 strikes. I don't want 2 strikes. Unwary of why I got the warning in the first place. But before I go too far, I want to go somewhere where we look at nature again. First we just look at ourselves as human beings, but I want to look at nature. So bear with me 1 second. La ilaha illallah. Saleh. I was going to play Al-Muzammil, but I changed my mind because I'm not sure if it is that family or the producer of the
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون ولقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فليعلمن الله الذين صدقوا وليعلمن الكاذبين أم حسب الذين يعملون السيئات أن يسبقونا ساء ما يحكمون من كان يرجو لقاء الله فإن أجل الله لآت وهو السميع العليم ومن جاهد فإنما يجاهد لنفسه إن الله لغني عن العالمين والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لنكفرن عنهم سيئاتهم ولنجزينهم أحسن الذي كانوا يعملون ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حسنا وإن جاهداك لتشرك بي ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لندخلنهم في الصالحين ومن الناس من يقول آمنا بالله فإذا أوذي في الله جعل فتنة الناس كعذاب الله ولئن جاء نصر من ربك ليقولن إنا كنا معكم أوليس الله بأعلم بما في صدور العالمين وليعلمن الله الذين آمنوا وليعلمن المنافقين وقال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا اتبعوا سبيلنا ولنحمل خطاياكم وما هم بحاملين من خطاياهم من شيء إنهم لكاذبون وليحملن أثقالهم وأثقالا مع أثقالهم وليسألن يوم القيامة عما كانوا يفترون ولقد أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه فلبث فيهم 1000 سنة إلا 50 عاما فأخذهم الطوفان وهم ظالمون فأنجيناه وأصحاب السفينة وجعلناها آية للعالمين وإبراهيم إذ قال لقومه اعبدوا الله واتقوه ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون إنما تعبدون من دون الله أوثانا وتخلقون إفكا إن الذين تعبدون من دون الله لا يملكون لكم رزقا فابتغوا عند الله الرزق واعبدوه واشكروا له إليه ترجعون وإن تكذبوا فقد كذب من قبلكم وما على الرسول إلا البلاغ المبين أولم يروا كيف يبدئ الله الخلق ثم يعيده إن ذلك على الله يسير قل سيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف بدأ الخلق ثم الله ينشئ النشأة الآخرة إن الله على كل شيء قدير يعذب من يشاء يشاء ويرحم من يشاء وإليه تقلبون وما أنتم بمعجزين في الأرض ولا في السماء وما لكم من دون الله من ولي ولا نصير والذين كفروا بآيات الله ولقائه أولئك يئسوا من رحمتي وأولئك لهم عذاب أليم فما كان جواب قومه إلا أن قالوا اقتلوه أو حرقوه فأنجاه الله من النار إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يؤمنون وقال إنما اتخذتم من دون الله أوثانا مودة بينكم في الحياة الدنيا ثم يوم القيامة يكفر بعضكم ببعض ويلعن بعضكم بعضا ومأواكم النار وما لكم من ناصرين فآمن له لوط وقال إني مهاجر إلى ربي إنه هو العزيز الحكيم ووهبنا له إسحاق ويعقوب وجعلنا في ذريته النبوة والكتاب وآتيناه أجره في الدنيا وإنه في الآخرة لمن الصالحين ولوطا إذ قال لقومه إنكم لتأتون الفاحشة ما سبقكم بها من أحد من العالمين أئنكم لتأتون الرجال وتقطعون السبيل وتأتون في ناديكم المنكر فما كان جواب قومه إلا أن قالوا ائتنا بعذاب الله إن كنت من الصادقين قال رب انصرني على القوم المفسدين ولما جاءت رسلنا إبراهيم بالبشرى قالوا إنا مهلكو أهل هذه القرية إن أهلها كانوا ظالمين قال إن فيها لوطا قالوا نحن أعلم بمن فيها لننجينه وأهله إلا امرأته كانت من الغابرين ولما أن جاءت رسلنا لوطا سيء بهم وضاق بهم ذرعا وقالوا لا تخف ولا تحزن إنا منجوك وأهلك إلا امرأتك كانت من الغابرين إنا منزلون على أهل هذه القرية رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يفسقون ولقد تركنا منها آية بينة لقوم يعقلون وإلى مدين أخاهم شعيبا فقال يا قوم اعبدوا الله وارجوا اليوم الآخر ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين فكذبوه فأخذتهم الرجفة فأصبحوا في دارهم جاثمين وعادا وثمود وقد تبين لكم من مساكنهم وزين لهم الشيطان أعمالهم فصدهم عن السبيل وكانوا مستبصرين وقارون وفرعون وهامان ولقد جاءهم موسى بالبينات فاستكبروا في الأرض وما كانوا سابقين فكلا أخذنا بذنبه فمنهم من أرسلنا عليه حاصبا ومنهم من أخذته الصيحة ومنهم من خسفنا به الأرض ومنهم من أغرقنا وما كان الله ليظلمهم ولكن كانوا أنفسهم يظلمون مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت
Yes, the example of those who take allies other than Allah is like that of a spider. And the spider's home is the flimsiest of home. So we'll continue there. I needed to stop that so you can see that, understand that, and know that it's Allah who is speaking.
أخذت بيتا وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون إن الله يعلم ما يدعون من دونه من شيء وهو العزيز الحكيم وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس وما يعقلها إلا العالمون خلق الله السماوات والأرض بالحق إن في ذلك لآية للمؤمنين أتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون ولا تجادلوا أهل الكتاب إلا بالتي هي أحسن إلا الذين ظلموا منهم وقولوا آمنا بالذي أنزل إلينا وأنزل إليكم وإلهنا وإلهكم واحد ونحن له مسلمون وكذلك أنزلنا إليك الكتاب فالذين آتيناهم الكتاب يؤمنون به ومن هؤلاء من يؤمن به وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الكافرون وما كنت تتلو من قبله من كتاب ولا تخطه بيمينك إذا لارتاب المبطلون بل هو آيات بينات في صدور الذين أوتوا العلم وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الظالمون وقالوا لولا أنزل عليه آيات من ربه قل إنما الآيات عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين أولم يكفهم أنا أنزلنا عليك الكتاب يتلى عليهم إن في ذلك لرحمة وذكرى لقوم يؤمنون قل كفى بالله بيني وبينكم شهيدا يعلم ما في السماوات والأرض والذين آمنوا بالباطل وكفروا بالله أولئك هم الخاسرون ويستعجلونك بالعذاب ولولا أجل مسمى لجاءهم العذاب وليأتينهم بغتة وهم لا يشعرون يستعجلونك بالعذاب وإن جهنم جهنم لمحيطة بالكافرين يوم يغشاهم العذاب من فوقهم ومن تحت أرجلهم ويقول ذوقوا ما كنتم تعملون يا عبادي الذين آمنوا إن أرضي واسعة فإياي فاعبدون كل نفس ذائقة الموت ثم إلينا ترجعون والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لنبوئنهم من الجنة غرفا تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها نعم أجر العاملين الذين صبروا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون وكأي من دابة لا تحمل رزقها الله يرزقها وإياكم وهو السميع العليم ولئن سألتهم من خلق السماوات والأرض وسخر الشمس والقمر ليقولن الله فأنى يؤفكون الله يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء من عباده ويقدر له إن الله بكل شيء عليم ولئن سألتهم من نزل من السماء ماء فأحيا به الأرض من بعد موتها ليقولن الله قل الحمد لله بل أكثرهم لا يعقلون وما هذه الحياة الدنيا إلا لهو ولعب وإن الدار الآخرة لهي الحيوان لو كانوا يعلمون فإذا ركبوا في الفلك دعوا الله مخلصين له الدين فلما نجاهم إلى البر إذا هم يشركون ليكفروا بما آتيناهم وليتمتعوا فسوف يعلمون أولم يروا أنا جعلنا حرما آمنا ويتخطف الناس من حولهم أفبالباطل يؤمنون وبنعمة الله يكفرون ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا أو كذب بالحق لما جاءه أليس في جهنم مثوى للكافرين والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وإن الله لمع المحسنين.
Yes, so you see Ankubut, the spider, and some information about Abraham, salam, Lot, Yaqub, Shaib, so much. Very clear, very concise, and it's about perception, it's about our behavior, it's about tolerance. It's about knowing, realizing, but then actually recognizing that we will die and we will return to Allah. And then there's some people that says, yo, we never know that Abraham alayhi salam was cast in the fire. You know about Shadrach, you hear about Shadrach, well, you know, hear about Abraham alayhi salam, and supported the people who do it. Him father never condemned them, you know. Because him tell him father that him should desist from the worship of stones and different things. And the father asked him to leave, you know. Yeah, man, leave here. Yo, remove yourself. And so on and so on. But he's a good child, you know. Yeah. And then them banish him. But Allah continued to protect him. Abraham, Father Abraham, alayhi salam. You know. So one day we'll come back to that. So right now, we want to leave this and go. And go, you know. Yeah. So don't forget, you know. Subscribe, tell your friends, and make comments. See, I like tomorrow, no, tomorrow chat, we will speak about Ramadan, you know. Ramadan, because we should start either tomorrow, which is Monday, you understand? And whether we start tomorrow morning, Monday, or tomorrow night, which is Monday night, to start the actual fast on Tuesday, we are ready, you know. And who's not ready will get ready like Freddy. You understand? This is Islam, so Muslims. Come in, my sons.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد الله إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب الله.
Yes, that surah, that recitation is called Al-Fatiha. There's no prayer in Islam by any Muslim, no matter who, that can be a prayer without the starting of Al-Fatiha and the finishing of Al-Fatiha. The seventh of repeated verses, the seven seals there are, this is it. You know, and I will keep repeating that because our people we were told about these things. We weren't told what it was because they didn't know. And those who knew, they didn't have access to it. So we came up with that in our consciousness. Just couldn't find the book of the seven seals. And then when some of us, obviously, has found it, discovered it, and we tell our brethren and sisters, them decline. And I'm saying the decline because there were some scribbly things on the page. You understand? Some scribble, like cockroach run through ink. on the page. And then when that was explained to us now, and it was strange, because we all want to know what that is, You see? And when them explain that that is a thing that was called Arabic, come like we start run faster than boat. We break record called word record. not world, word record. You understand? We never have nothing to do with something. We never hear about them thing there. We never hear about it. You understand? We don't have a clue. You see? So we just disregard it. It show you how strong the colonial masters of us were, how strong. See? The people that could have said that was Latin, it would have sink more. We would appreciate it. Even though we can't talk Latin. You understand? But them say something that we can't comprehend in our vocabulary. We don't want to know nothing about it. So the bright individuals now that is reading the something in English, when I care about that, we just disregard the thing just like so. You understand? Yeah, Al-Fatiha. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and the sustainer of the worlds. Most gracious, most merciful. Master of the day of judgment. Master, not body, of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship and thy name do we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, and those whose portion is not wrath, and who go not astray. Al-Fatiha. So the Muslim, and my brethren, them and sisters of Rastafari, that we was told, we hear that the book of the seventh seal, the seventh of repeated verses, and we are looking at, how much Bible we did buy. It's by, if you know the things we do, and we can't find that innate, and then we find this thing about Maccabee, and we can't find it inside there either. You know what I mean? And then we find out that Maccabee is a tribe, and so forth and so forth, right? So every which way we went, we were just being glued, right? And don't have a clue, right? And we can't find anybody or any persons that would have helped we, And then we start finding book about the Garden of Eden and all kind of thing, Yeah, man, all kind of thing. Paperback book from Files. Files, they get enough money from we. You understand? Because there was so much of these books. And we buy them and see where they were taking us, And if the seventh verses is in there, if the key, right? Then we have these books called the Master Key and all kind of something, And you had to do some. It was talking to you when you opened the first page. Can I make you scared? You understand? It'll tell you that you have to submit yourself to it and everything and so forth, right? And then it asks you to make a pledge. The book, the book itself, you understand? And it make you think like, nah, I work with this something. You understand? And so it went, all these books. Yeah, so by the time we get round to removing our eyes from them scribbly words over scribbly lines and everything that them call Arabic, and we read the English side of the something, then we start challenging and we say, the people them just take the Bible and them take pieces of the thing and put in their thing. Because we see some, we read something and it sounds familiar. You know what I mean? It sounds familiar. You see? And we never had no person that could help we, you know what I mean, to say, well, he ain't familiar, but, And we got stuck with a conjunction. And as time went by, the but become but, because yo. And then later on, now we start find this. We found this Moses. Not later. First thing we find is Moses, right? Because after Al-Fatiha, there's this thing called Al-Bakra, which is the cow, and we want to know why it called cow and everything. And then when we start read the thing, Moses is there. This Moses, yo, this Moses don't. Him not sound like the Moses that we can say we know. But as we keep going along, we become familiarized with this Moses. But him not do the things that the Bible has said, right? So we get trapped with this Moses in the Quran. But then some of us said, nah, man, the man is too clever. The man rewrite the something, right? And then get a long spell. And why him not call it the Genesis? And, yeah? So some of us argue with the other one and just say, listen here, right? Why should it be called the Genesis? This is not the same book. It's a different book about God. You know what I mean? So let me read, man. You understand? And then we start broke up. Yeah, we start, yeah. Because sometimes with a group of us doing a thing, and it get to that kind of heat. So we just split up now, and then every man for himself. And then sometimes you can't talk. Them talk there, when you meet up now, them say, no, we don't want to talk about nothing. We don't want to talk about no God something and everything. And, you know, now you have this, yeah. So like me give them kind of movement there a break, man. You understand? Go missing, you know. But they may have enough pen and enough paper, right? I make reference to say, well, yo, how come them a talk about this Moses and them something that is not in the Bible? So who the Bible come from? And then this Quran thing, it become more simple. You know what I mean? It then become like the mystic movies. No. And then I realized that this thing called mysticism is a serious thing. And then I look at my mother and my father and realize that's why they're hooked. You understand? Because, hey, some people, as much as you're scared of the darkness and the woods and everything, you know, the way they teach at school, you must be adventurous. Even though you know, see some bad people could be all inside them woods there. Yeah, I will grab you and kill you, and if it's not people, it's wolf. It's wolf or some bear. You understand? So we stop getting so alarmed by mysticism and give that a box. And from the time I do that now, I go somewhere. But then little more now, here comes David. King David. And then Solomon turn up. Then Sheba turn up. Yo, now this thing's becoming too interesting. And may I say these people is clever. Them smart. You know what I mean? But by the time you fulfill the reading now, you think, say, wait, I never read this before. This thing is different. You know? Different. And it was easy upon the reading too. Not the scribbly thing, because we don't know nothing about that. But yeah, it is, you know, and yeah, serious thing. So there was no meaning there. There was no man God and no. There was no flying God and yo, there was none of them something there. You know what I mean? There was no beast and these things. Nothing like that. You know? So then we find some sensible people to talk with and, you know, about what we're experiencing by reading this book. And now they're intrigued. And all we are praying for is that them not like my brethren them. You know? And by the time the people that come for read something, yo, they want to leave me yard with the book. They want to go with the book. Them get mentally track with them eyes and they like what they're reading. And they make so much note, you know? And a different environment was developed. So Al-Islam, just have to give it a chance, you know? Especially the Quran. Give it a chance. And just, yeah, give it a chance. You know? Read for ourselves, express ourselves, and yeah, everything will fall into place, you know what I mean? And so forth. So that is the experience that we had back then. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me of any of my faults. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you all too. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and protect us and our families and give us the opportunity to witness grace for the Palestinian peoples and all other suffering peoples across the earth. But right now, the top one is the Palestinian people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show his mercy and blessing on all of us and our ancestors, our predecessors, and give us the best in this earth, inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to experience Ramadan from its start until it's finished, because we have 29 or 30 days, and I think it would be 29 because of this February and anyway, but it is based on the moon again, the changing. So yesterday they said that there were 5 persons arrested. 5, you know, that's good. But there was a situation where the police, them, our security people, some peoples wanted to arrest some person, say they were saying something that they deemed should not be said. And a lot of people ask, what is the problem? And they wouldn't actually say anymore. So the people them say, listen, if we say that, right, would you arrest us too? Because we're all together. Some words like that. And these people, you know, so our brothers and sisters and others decided, if you're going to arrest this person, you're going to have to arrest all of us. So whatever he's supposed to have said, if him say Allahu Akbar, when him say Hamas, whatever, them say it. So them say, now you have to arrest all of us. Not you won't be, it won't be a law that you're working with, you know, something to that effect. And I thought that was beautiful. But there's so much experiences that even the law enforcement officers, MPs and others are experiencing and witnessing firsthand. Now these people are at risk of their careers, you know, because now they're making all kinds of rules, right? Because America, all of Europe, but particularly America and England, they want to come up with something to tell people that, listen, all this demonstration thing must stop. Yeah, you will have to follow what is happening. Seriously. There are some things that I was going to play, but I thought, you know, the religion Al-Islam is more important. But I will set aside half an hour for things like that because there's some atrocious news that's come out of Palestine. It's just not good. It's not good, you know. So again we say Salaam alaikum rahmatullah. Abdullah, I don't know if it's you, my son. I don't know if it's you. It could be that they don't want me to be playing you, right? So I'm going to rest you today. Yes, Abdullah. I'm going to rest you today, man. You know what I mean? Is it the video? Is it the video that hurts them? Abdullah, I don't know, man. Is it the video that hurts them? If it's the video, then hear what we do. we play the CD. Yeah, man. If it's the video, Abdullah, we play the CD. Assalamu alaikum.
Palestine's been occupied for decades, but a home for centuries. This land is generations of my family's memories. To plant, grow, and nurture the symbol of peace. The olive trees guaranteed that our people could eat. Living with limitations, pushed down by the occupation. Wanna see the pain? Take a look at the people's.
Yeah, you see, you know the hurtful thing about this is that it was around 9. It's not yesterday. Last year, him write these lyrics, you know. These lyrics was written before, longer time, right? And he himself is Palestinian, and he's experiencing everything he's saying, you know. And there are people who don't want this to be heard. And then shouting at the wall has caused a great deal of problem. And it's not talking about America, England, or France, or anybody, no. It is just the experience that they've endured all these years, and he's experienced 4 wars himself in a Palestine, not somewhere else in Europe looking down or trying to remember and then put pen to paper. Nothing like that. It's a real things. Real. And what it does, it shows people from the video, it shows people what was happening every other year in Gaza. Every other year, those people bomb the place, mash up the infrastructure, and the European Union and others, good people around the earth, donate and send builders and everybody else to help those people restore the place. And then the following year, them come back again and do the same thing. So this thing is being going on every other year. And then them come and march into the mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque, humiliate the people, beat up the people, and put constraints on who attends the prayers. So if you're a teenager and up to 45, you can't go. Something of this nature. Because my family, my wife, everybody went there. And they would put all these different restrictions and then try to humiliate the Masalis to see what kind of reaction they're going to get from the Muslim world. I will never get none. The Arab League sit down and talk. The United Nations, them come up with resolution, this, that, and the people them just do not abide by, and there's no one enforcing anything. Could you imagine an apartheid wall was built, land, olive trees were ripped up. This is before this situation here right now today. People's houses were taken. People's houses were bulldozed. People's possession were taken, telling people that you no longer need it. It is ours now. The local mosques were flattened. There's no justice. So Abdullah, this young man, he was influenced by us in terms of rapping. And he took that influence and put on the paper and then rap the reality of his surroundings, his total experience in his family and other people. And it's hurting the world. Some peoples, not the world, some peoples. And more importantly, he's a young man. Young boy, not man, he's a young boy. Eloquent in English. And those who doesn't know Palestine, who's never seen it, just heard the name, we can appreciate what he's saying, and you cannot get a vivid reaction, you get a sane reaction. And that's what's happening. It's so clear. It's so clear. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise all our young people that is still alive. Assalamu alaikum.